Calling all authors, the Your Book, Your Voice podcast with host Robert A. Lane features everything you need to know about narrating your audiobook, but it doesn't stop there. We have special guests lined up from all aspects of the book publishing industry, and we also dive deep into what it takes to be mentally prepared for success as an author and in life. So please welcome your host, Robert A. Lane.
Hey, hello, my friends. How are you today? This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. We are streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we got a great show for you today. The topic of the show, by the way, is the practical magic to narrating your audiobook. Practical magic is the reason why I said that. But before we dive into that, just a quick background. If this is the first time you've tuned into the podcast, I am an audiobook coach and producer, and I focus on helping nonfiction authors record, narrate, and get their audiobook published in their own voice. In their own voice. Very important. Get them published on Audible, Amazon, and Apple Books. Audible, Amazon, and Apple, I call it the AAA, because those are the three distribution platforms you absolutely need to be on. That's really where the general public goes to grab their audiobooks. There are other distribution platforms, of course, but those are the three that people tend to go to first. And they think about those first. And they even ask for them by brand name. They ask for it, oh, hey, are you on Audible? Or they'll say, "Are you? Can I get your book on Apple Books? Or can I, download your audiobook on off of Amazon?" AAA, telling you got to be on those. Anyway, so that's what I do as an audiobook coach and producer, and I have a program which is called Your Book, Your Voice, and it is an audiobook coaching program where I take my clients who are great nonfiction authors who have a published book, who are narrating their own book, and I do it with them. It's a do it with you program. I'm there for you every step of the way and help you create your own recording space, teach you the fine art of voiceover and narration and how to do a compelling audiobook narration. And then part of the program is that you send your audio to me and we do all the editing for you. We clean it up, make sure it meets the exact specifications for publication. And then we do all the uploading for you into Audible, Amazon, and Apple Books for publication. And the program is only 6 weeks. So you can set up, record, narrate, and be published in 6 weeks, not 6 months, not a year from now, not even 3 months from now. So it's a quick program, but you will do an awesome job as a narrator of your own audiobook. So that's what I do. Now, a couple of things. If you are interested, by the way, in the audiobook coaching program, the first action step, which is very simple, that you would need to do is just book a call with me, and we'll have a quick discussion about your book, about your marketing goals, and I'll dive into details about the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program. For those of you who can see the video portion of our live stream, there is a consultation graphic that's up there with a link. Take a screen grab of that. If you're just listening to the audio version, it is bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. All right, so that's where you can book your call. Would love to help you out with that. And then you can always go to robertlanecoaching.com for more information about the program as well. And there's definitely a lot of buttons on that homepage that will get you to book your call. All right, and then the other thing that I wanted to share with you before we dive into the topic for today is that I want to give you something. All right, I want to give you something, a resource that's just very valuable that will help you through the audiobook narration process and covers basically quite a few of the aspects of how to do a great audiobook narration, both from the practical and emotional standpoint, which is my audiobook narration reference guide. And that's a free downloadable guide that I offer to you, which you can grab for free. And we're going to put another graphic up there and you can check it out. Take a screen grab of that as well if you want. And again, the web address or the link is bit.ly/, Narration Reference Guide. Pretty simple. And of course, again, on the homepage of robertlanecoaching.com, it's right there. You can grab it there as well. So today is really a good topic because we're going to just pick apart and go through the process and the details of what it takes to really create an awesome audiobook. Now, you as a nonfiction author, you should narrate your own audiobook. Matter of fact, I say this: every nonfiction author who has a published book needs to narrate their own audiobook because it's your story. Only you can express your story. Only you can speak your story in the way that you want it to be heard and that you intend it to be heard. And it's part of what your personality is. Remember, your personality, your uniqueness, your voice is in your written word. It's in your book already. So it only makes sense for you as a nonfiction author to narrate your own book because you're just bringing that to life. When people read a book, and I've noticed this myself too, is like I'll hear a voice in my head when I'm reading through a book, whether it's an ebook or paperback or even a hardcover. But what a great thing to have you as the author to hear your voice tell your story with your unique style. That's why every author needs to narrate their own audiobook. So the topic, of course, is the practical magic to narrating your audiobook, right? The practical magic. Now, why that popped in my head to call this episode that, I don't know. This was one of those things. And I know there's that movie that came out back in 1998, so it's been a while, called Practical Magic. Starred Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman. Basically, they were sisters that come from a family where I'm trying to remember what the premise of the movie was. It was something like when they have a lover, their lover dies, and it was a curse that was put on their family, and then it goes to this whole other storyline. Which anyway, but practical magic I thought was actually a really cool term to describe what it takes and what the process is for you to create your own audiobook, right? The practical aspects of creating your own audiobook, which is both the technical and the physical aspects, in addition to the emotional and the intangible aspects, okay? So the practical being the physical aspects, mic placement, body posture, all that is practical, but the magic part of it comes out with your emotion and with your energy and your purpose and your core reason why, right? Tapping into that why you wrote your book in the first place, why it was so important for you to get that nonfiction book of yours published for the world to read. Maybe you have a great story to tell and that was just so compelling that you just had to share it. Maybe you're a coach or an entrepreneur, or maybe you're a teacher or an educator, or a poet for that matter, and you've written this great book. Well, you should be the one to narrate that book. And bringing that magic, right? The intangibles, that magic is what creates an awesome audiobook. So today we're going to break down the audiobook process, okay? What it takes to create an awesome, compelling audiobook that you can narrate yourself, and you can get it recorded, narrated, and published. Again, if you went through my program, you'll be done in 6 weeks. And I'll talk more about the details about the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program a little later on. But let's break this down, and we're going to get down to basics. Okay, so for example, I have my book here called Lights Action You, and in my book, obviously, there's 14 chapters. There's opening credits. There's dedication. There's acknowledgments, closing credits, freebies and bonuses I offer in my book, a variety of things. So if you're not familiar with the audiobook process, every piece of your book, right, every section of your book is a separate audio file or audio track. So when you record your audiobook, you are dividing it up into separate tracks. So for example, there's 14 chapters in my book. Well, that's 14 audio tracks right there. Then there's opening credits, closing credits. I do have an introduction, as I mentioned, about freebies and bonuses, dedication page, acknowledgments. So I probably have roughly 20 or so audio files that I created to complete the entire audiobook. And when you record your audiobook, you're going to be doing the same thing. You're just going to be doing it in sections, okay? So just understanding that part of the process is really, really helpful when you're going on this audiobook creation project, because then that way you can set a plan of how you're going to record your audiobook. Now, the one thing that I do come across quite a bit with the authors that have gone through my program is this confidence, is not really appreciating the wonderful voice that they have. I can't even tell you how many times I hear people say, "Oh, I hate my voice. Oh, it's horrible. I can never do a narration. I can never narrate my own audiobook." But the thing is, and the truth is, well, first of all, that's a false belief. So you need to crush that false belief. Okay. You do have a great voice. You do have the talent. You do have the capability to narrate your own audiobook, and you have to believe in yourself, believe in your voice, own your voice, love your voice, embrace your voice, because it's what makes you you. It's part of your uniqueness. Okay. Again, your uniqueness is in your written word. It's in your book already. What you're doing is you're bringing it to life. All right. That's the magic. We're talking practical magic to narrating your audiobook. You are bringing it to life. And people get to hear you express your audiobook and hear your story the way you intend it to be heard. Okay. So it's really important to embrace and love your voice. Now, the first phase, of course, of creating your audiobook is you have to have a place to record, right? So this is where a lot of authors run into some roadblocks because they're like, oh man, okay, where am I going to record? I got to find a studio and have to, rent a studio and make sure that they have a good audio engineer, and that could be very overwhelming, and it can also put a lot of pressure on you, because when you go into a studio to record, you're working on their timeline. If they book you in on whatever time that you can get in, and there's that pressure of trying to record your audiobook knowing that you have limited time. So what I do in my audiobook coaching program is alleviate that stress and tension and overwhelm and roadblock. Sometimes it does become a roadblock of having to worry about finding a studio and getting yourself somewhere to record. Because what I do is I teach my clients to set up their own recording space. And the beauty about the course that I teach is that I provide you with the equipment that you need to do a great narration. And I'm not talking like, sending you a cheap microphone or, cheap headphones and that kind of thing. I send top quality equipment to you, which is yours to keep. Matter of fact, this mic here, the Shure MV7 mic actually is what I send you. It's a great podcasting mic. I use it for other live streams and broadcasts, and it sounds fantastic when it comes to doing your audiobook. And I send that to you. That is part of the program. I do have my headphones here. These are great headphones. These are Sony Studio Professional headphones. What I like about these is that they're really light on your head. So when you're recording, you get great sound. Your sound is accurate. It's not too much bass, too much treble. It's very accurate sound. So what you hear is what you get, which is very important. And the headphones are light on your head, so you don't feel bogged down. So trying to help you alleviate any of that stress and pressure of trying to find a studio is part of what I do as an audiobook coach and producer, is giving you the equipment that you need to do a great audiobook narration. Okay. Other things that you need to be aware of are file management and how to label your audio files so that you know exactly what they are, you don't lose them, and everything is stored in a certain place. And of course, backing everything up. Again, very important to get these details down before you jump into recording your audiobook. Okay. I got so much more to tell you about, but we do have to take a break. You're listening to the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Robert A. Lane. I have an audiobook coaching business called Robert Lane Coaching, which you can check out at robertlanecoaching.com. We are streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. I appreciate you being here. If you're a nonfiction author and you are recording your audiobook or you're planning to, don't go away because I have lots of information to give you about the process as we break it down on how to do a great, compelling audiobook. We'll be right back.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
And welcome back to the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are talking about audiobook creation and taking you through the process of what it takes to create an awesome, compelling, and engaging audiobook. So the practical magic to narrating your audiobook is what we're talking about. So practical, as I look at it that way, practical being the physical aspects, mic placement, that kind of thing, and the magic, which is you. You are the magician because you're bringing your unique style and voice and pacing and energy and emotion and everything that you have in your written word of your published nonfiction book. You're bringing it to life. You're bringing it to life. And that's another thing that I want to mention is not letting your book die on the vine. I know so many authors who've published a book and then, they do this big book launch, and, they have this boost in sales of their ebook and paperback or hardcover if they have that as well. And then it just drops off, and then they kind of don't really do much when it comes to marketing and promoting their book anymore. So if you do have a book that's dying on the vine, bring it back to life. Let's resurrect it. Let that be. That's practical magic. Practicality is getting that book back to life, resurrecting that book. And the magic of it is that when you turn it into an audiobook, not only are you expanding your audience and hitting an audience that maybe only listens to audiobooks, but you're also going to boost revenue, because not only are you hitting another revenue stream with the format of an audiobook, but other people are now going to just rediscover your book or discover it for the first time. And now they see your paperback and your hardcover and your ebook, and they're like, wow, this is really, really cool. I dig this author. And remember, with you narrating your own book, you're preserving your author brand. You're preserving the integrity of your brand. Because again, as I've mentioned before, your voice is in your written word, and that's part of who you are. And this is why people buy your book, and maybe this is why people bought your book in the first place, because it resonates with them. Your personality, your style of writing resonates with them, and you're just bringing that to life when you do your audiobook. So let's continue on and breaking down the process of creating an awesome audiobook. Now, I mentioned earlier before the break about having a place to set up your own recording space. And again, the other benefit of doing that is that you have your space with your recording equipment and everything set up, in a nice quiet area of your home or your office, and you can record on your schedule. You're not bound by another studio, get you in and get you out, as I mentioned about having that pressure to try to do a great audiobook narration when in the back of your mind you're like, great, I got 20 minutes and I still have, 2 more chapters to go through. You don't want that pressure. So having your own recording space set up is awesome because you can record on your schedule, which is really, really important. Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about your mindset. All right. Where are you with your mindset? Where is your frame of mind when it comes to your audiobook? If you're going to narrate your own audiobook, you have to be in the right mindset. You have to be focused. You have to be grounded. You have to tap into that excitement and energy that you felt when you published your book in the first place, or even when you finished your final manuscript and you submitted it to the formatter and you got your cover art done and everything is just moving forward towards that awesome launch date. That excitement, that feeling that you had, that's what you're bringing to the table with your audiobook. And that's the mindset that you need to be in. Now, I mentioned about people who don't like their voice or think they don't have a voice. Again, crush those false beliefs. You have a great voice. So that's another aspect of mindset that you need to change that thought process. You've got to remove the negativity and fill it with positivity. Tell yourself, make affirmations, do things to boost your confidence. I am a great narrator. I have an awesome voice. I love my voice. I'm so excited to narrate my own audiobook. I embrace this beautiful sound that comes out of my mouth. Say it until you feel it. Once you feel it, then your subconscious will believe it. And that's what you want, and that's the goal that you're going for when it comes to your mindset and from boosting confidence. Okay? So again, tapping into the core reason of why you wrote your book. What was the purpose of writing it in the first place? You lived it, you breathed it, you published it, it's out there. What was the core reason why? Always be tapped into that. Now, I want to share with you some, we're going to talk about some of the magic, okay? Let's talk about some of the magic. We know about the practical being, here's your mic placement, not too close, not too far away, good body posture, hydration, all that does come into play. Those are the practical aspects of doing a great narration. But let's talk about the magic. Let's talk about the intangibles, because that's what the magic is. All right. That's what the magic is. So here's something that'll really help you in regards to doing your audiobook, because you want to be, well, conversational, yes, but most importantly, authentic. You want to bring your authentic self to the table. You brought your authentic self to the words that you wrote in your book. You just now, again, voicing it. Okay. So one thing that I teach my clients is think about one person. Who is the one person that you're telling your story to? And I don't mean, oh, well, my genre is this or my target audience is that. We're not talking about that. That's generic. I want you to come up with somebody, a specific person that you're telling your story to. Maybe it's your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or girlfriend or significant other, or maybe it's a best friend, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a parent or another family member. Whoever that person is, think of that person and get a picture of that person and put it up by your computer when you do your recording. So you're looking at them, and when you narrate, you're telling your story to this particular person. And what that does is that brings out, again, we're talking about intangibles. Intangibles are things that maybe you can't physically touch, but you can feel, right? It's the emotion and it's the energy. When you're speaking to a specific person, that brings out the conversationalist aspect of your audiobook. Being conversational, very important. But it also hits on something really important, and it's so subtle, and you may not even notice it. And a lot of people don't even realize that they're hearing this, and that is you're providing an intimate reading with your narration. And by creating this intimacy, that intimacy creates an intimate connection with the person who's listening to your audiobook. That's what really draws them in, because they feel like you are speaking and narrating, you're telling your story directly to them. Very important. And it's subtle. It's really subtle. It's an intangible. And a lot of people are like, I don't understand why. I just love listening to this audiobook. And that's one of the reasons why, because they brought this intimate connection into their narration. And I show my clients how to do that. And having a specific person to talk to really helps bring that out. And as I mentioned, it is subtle, and you may not even notice it, but your listener will. They do pick up on these subtleties. You hear all the time, oh, I listened to this audiobook and it was okay, but it just sounded like they were just reading, very reedy. You don't want that. You want them to hear your story and feel the emotion that you're bringing out with your narration. So having somebody specific in mind really does make all the difference in the world. I use this analogy, and I tell this to my clients as well, but it just makes a lot of sense, right? You're at a concert and you're listening to your favorite singer. He or she is out there on stage, and they start singing your favorite song, and maybe it just brings out this emotion. Maybe it makes you cry, or maybe it just fills you with this incredible amount of joy. And you feel like, wow, that artist is singing directly to me. That song is for me. And let's say you're at an arena, and you have 20,000 seat arena with all these people. It's packed. Well, guess what? Every single person in there is feeling the same thing that you're feeling, right? They feel that singer is singing directly to them. They feel it. They feel it. And I can almost guarantee that when that singer was in the recording studio and they recorded that song, and it really resonates with you, that they had somebody very specific in mind, very specific, that they were singing that song to. And even when they're out there on stage, they're still thinking about that person, because that brings that emotion out. And that emotion is what you're tapping into. And that emotion is what creates that intimate connection. So it's a great analogy, because there's really no difference between that and with you as an author narrating your own audiobook, because you are bringing the emotion and energy into your narration. And that establishes that intimate connection, because you have somebody specific that you're talking to. And that's really, really important. So do that. Because another thing is being authentic. And when you have somebody specific that you're talking to, it'll keep you, grounded. It'll keep you focused, and it will bring out your authenticity. And that is so important, to be authentic, to narrate in, again, your own voice and your own style and your own unique personality. You don't want to fake it. You don't want to, go radio voice. That's not you. Be you, be yourself, be authentic, because that's what takes an audiobook from just being mediocre to being fan-frickin-tastic, right? Taking it to that next level. And again, the listener may not know why, but because you're bringing those intangibles into your narration, that makes all the difference in the world, okay? Now, of course, practical. Let's touch on a little bit of the practical aspect when you set up your recording space. Now, hopefully you are set up in a place where it's quiet and you can really get focused and you won't be disturbed. Another thing that you need to do is eliminate all distractions when you are ready to record. All right. So if there's other people in the house or maybe in your office or wherever you have your recording space, hopefully you've found a nice quiet space that you are very comfortable in, because you need to feel comfortable. Again, when you do your narration, you got to feel comfortable. And you should have specific times that you've allocated to work on your audiobook, to record and narrate your audiobook. Because remember, you are operating on your own time when you set up your own studio. But you have to be disciplined, okay? You have to have a specific time that you are allocating that you're going to work on your audiobook. And what you do is you make that time non-negotiable, meaning this is the time that I'm going to spend working on my audiobook. Maybe I'm going to, work on it, 6 days a week, right? Monday through Saturday from 8 to 9 p.m. That's the time that I'm going to work on my audiobook. And that time is non-negotiable. So if anything comes in that interferes with that time, whatever interferes is going to have to be rescheduled. That's the non-negotiable. And you have to hold yourself to that. You got to make an agreement with yourself that you're going to honor that agreement. All right. All right. We're going to take another quick break. I have much more I want to share with you about the practical aspects of doing an audiobook narration. Of course, we'll talk more about the intangibles and how important that is, which I'm sure you're picking up on how important that is already. And then what happens afterwards? We're going to dive into that as well. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. You can go to robertlanecoaching.com to find out more information about my audiobook coaching program called Your Book, Your Voice. We're streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. We got more to share with you, so don't go away.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
It was almost instant, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. And our topic for today is the practical magic to narrating your audiobook. A couple of things I want to hit on before we dive into the what's next after you finish recording your audiobook. One of them, again, now I mentioned about setting up your own quiet recording space, having non-negotiable time, and then, of course, other practical aspects like mic placement, making sure you're in good postural form, whether you're sitting or standing when you do your recording, and you're doing your narration. Let's talk about fatigue, because that happens. what you need to do when you're recording your audiobook, if you start to feel tired and when you start to feel fatigued, then you start to make more mistakes when you're recording and have to go back and re-record certain lines or certain sentences. And when you start to get tired, or even if your voice starts to go, it's getting sore, or it's not sounding grovelly, or step away. Step away. Take a break. Nothing wrong with taking a break. You don't have to push yourself so hard that you have to get this done right now. And there are people who are very motivated, which is fine. It's great. But if you are feeling tired, you have to give yourself some time to rejuvenate. Again, get refocused, get regrounded, and then you can go back and continue recording. We all have off days. Sometimes you're ready to record and just things are just not working out. You're making a lot of mistakes. You're hearing a lot of mouth noises that you're doing when you are doing your narration. You don't feel like your energy is at the level that it needs to be. Take a break, okay? It's okay. Take a break. Because what's really important when you're doing your audiobook is that you need to be consistent. You need to be consistent from opening credits to closing credits. You've got to be consistent throughout the entire audiobook. And consistency involves your mic levels, how your voice is sounding, and more importantly, of course, when we talk about the intangibles, the energy. You got to be consistent with how you are narrating your book. If you have energy that's going up and down and it's all over the place, it's inconsistent. You don't want to have any kind of inconsistencies like that. So be very conscious and aware of what your energy was like. And the beauty about recording your audiobook in that it is done in sections, right? Sit there and hit record and do this one super long audio file. You're doing everything in sections, is that you can go back and listen to a previous chapter and tap into that energy again. Yeah, okay, that was a really good narration. That's where I need to be at. And the most important thing that I can give you as a piece of advice is practice. Practice your reading, practice your narration, get into your zone, get into your groove, and then hit the record button, because then you're ready to go. And remember, you have to be in the right frame of mind. Are you confident? Are you loving your voice and embracing your voice? And you are? Then good. Hit record. All right. So now let's talk about what happens after you've recorded all your audio files. You got all these great audio tracks from your opening credits to your closing credits. Now what? Well, the next phase is you're going to have some audio post-production done to your audio book and all those audio files. So what happens, and I'll just use the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program that I teach as an example. What happens is my clients send the files to me, and I sit down and I do all the editing and clean up their files and surgically go through it from beginning to end of every file. I'm listening to everything. I'm listening to not just what you're saying and how you're saying it and making sure your energy is consistent and you're bringing that emotion across, but I'm also listening for mouth noises and lip smacks and stomach growls and any other weird extraneous sounds that may happen when you're doing your narration that maybe you just didn't realize. So it's always good to be conscious of those types of things when you are recording, but it happens. So I'm listening to not only what's happening within the sentences that you're saying and that you're narrating, but I'm listening to what's happening in the silence between words, between sentences. Are there sounds? Are there anything that's coming through that doesn't belong there? And I will surgically remove any anomalies that do not belong in your audiobook. All right. I've worked in the entertainment business for 30 plus years before I started my coaching business. And I still have always had a fascination with audio, and I've done audio post-production editing well over 20 plus years. So that's what you get when you go through the program is you're getting somebody who's experienced on how to do this and has a keen ear that's trained to make your audiobook sound fantastic. All right. So that's part of the process. And then the other aspect of it is that you have to make sure that the audiobook is meeting the exact specifications for publication. Okay, now I focus on having my clients published on the AAA, Audible, Amazon, and Apple Books. Now there are very specific specs that have to be met, audio specs that have to be met for them to accept your audiobook. And every file that gets uploaded for publication is analyzed, and if there's anything that they feel is not meeting the exact specifications, your file will be rejected, which means you got to go back and you got to fix it and make sure that it's, again, meeting those exact specs and re-upload. Now, the beauty about the clients that go through my audiobook coaching program is that I do that for them. I do the uploading for you. So you don't even have to worry about it. And if there is any type of rejection, I immediately know about it. It tells me what the issues are. I can go back into my system, make all the corrections that need to be made, re-upload, and it's done. So it's just something that you don't have to worry about. Now, if you're recording or you did your recording at another facility or a studio, and you have to go back and you have to have them, maybe it's the same studio or another studio where you have to do the audio post-production on your audiobook files. If there's a rejection, it's a lot harder now for you to have to go back and deal with a third party that is taking up a lot of valuable time. So the beauty of doing the course that I teach is that I handle that for you. So, and that's, in the background behind the scenes, things that you don't have to worry about. But, again, the process is you go through the files. I surgically remove anything that I feel is an anomaly that should not be in your audiobook. I don't run your audio file, through some AI program that's supposed to clean it up without listening to every single word that you say in your audiobook. That's not the way to do it, because ultimately things are going to get missed. And if there is a flub on a word or a mispronunciation that happens that may not have, an anomaly like a tick or a mouth noise, then running it through some program without checking it and listening to it, it's going to be missed. So that's not the way to do it. You have to go through it. And I spend literally hours going through every single audiobook for my clients and making sure that they are clean and they sound great and they meet the exact specifications, because you're 100% guaranteed to be published without any issues. And that's my guarantee to you. Now, other things that you can do while this process is happening, and it's something that I do talk about in the program, and that's marketing strategies. How do you want to market your audiobook? What do you want to do in regards to maybe doing an audiobook launch? These are things that you can be planning and setting up while you are waiting during the audiobook editing process, all the post-production work. So, plan your launch, put together a launch team. Matter of fact, you should be talking about the process that you're taking to create your audiobook on social media, whatever your favorite platform is, whether it is Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or TikTok or whatever platform that you're on, that you talk about you and your author brand the most. You should be taking your followers through the journey of you creating your audiobook, because it's fun. It's great to see the behind the scenes, and maybe do a clip or maybe have a little video clip of you recording and saying, here's a sample. This is me sitting in my studio that I've set up for recording my audiobook, and just do like a minute short, right? Put shorts on YouTube, put reels on Instagram and Facebook, and share them as stories. There's so many ways that you can be promoting and marketing your audiobook even before it's even launched, because you want to create the hype. You want to get people excited. Now, I did talk earlier about not letting your book die on the vine. So if you have a book already that's been published, maybe it's been out for a year or 2 or 3 years or even 5 years, bring it to life by turning it into an audiobook. You could do this whole relaunching campaign of your book. And what a great way to promote the book again and get people excited about it again. And boy, when you do that launch, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to have a great expansion of new listeners and followers that are enjoying your book in audiobook form. Plus, in addition to the revenue that you make from doing your audiobook, you're going to be boosting revenue with your ebook, paperback, and hardcover. And then you can do promotional campaigns. Buy my audiobook and I'll send you an autographed copy of my paperback, or I'll give you, get my ebook for 99 cents. Or, there's so many things that you can do from a marketing standpoint. And we do talk about that in the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program. We're going to take one more quick break. When we come back, I do want to share with you some more details about the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program as well. A lot of the things, obviously, that talked about on this edition of the Your Book, Your Voice podcast falls into the category of what I do for my clients. But we're going to just wrap things up, do a summary. I'll give you more details on the program. And, if it resonates with you, book a call with me. All right. And we'll put those graphics and links up when we come back. This is the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I'm Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. Check me out at robertlanecoaching.com. We're streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. We got one more great segment for you, so don't go away.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. We discover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
And thank you so much for being part of the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. I do appreciate you hanging out. I am Robert A. Lane with Robert Lane Coaching. I'm an audiobook coach and producer. That's what I do for a living, and I love it. I love helping nonfiction authors like yourself turn that awesome book of yours into an audiobook. We are streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network, by the way. And to wrap things up, let's do a quick summary of our topic of the day, which is the practical magic to narrating your audiobook. And the practical is, of course, the physical aspects and mic placement and all those things. And the magic, of course, is you. You're the magician. You are the magic, because bringing the intangibles and your emotion and your feeling and your authenticity to your narration is what makes a great audiobook. That's what makes it so engaging. So again, when you are recording your audiobook, it's done in sections. Each piece of your book is a separate audio file. The best way to do this is to have your own recording space in your home or office, because then you can work on your timeline, not another studio or somewhere else on their timeline. And you do create non-negotiable times that you are reserving for recording your audiobook, and that's non-negotiable. So anything that interferes with that is going to have to be rescheduled, and you have to really hold yourself to that, because that's really important. Okay. Now, of course, when you're ready to do your audiobook, you're in the right mindset, you believe in your voice, you love your voice, you're excited about your voice, and you have a great story to tell. And you're just bringing it to life. So with all the tools and techniques that you learn from doing a narration that creates a great audiobook narration, having somebody specific to talk to, tapping into that energy, being, as I say, authentic and conversational, that's what makes a great audiobook. And then once your audio is recorded, you would send it or you got to have somebody edit and clean it up and make sure it meets the exact specs for publication into Audible, Amazon, and Apple Books. All right. And then when that's done, you're done. You got this great book. So let me just go over again some of the highlights of the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program. Now, the aspects that we talked about, the process of creating your audiobook is what I teach my clients, of course. And as your coach, I'm there with you every step of the way throughout the entire process. So I'm your support system. I am your safety net. And I'm there to help you do a great narration, because the goal of the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program is to take away the confusion and the hassle and the overwhelm and all that, and just focus on doing a great narration. That's the most important thing. And that's what my job is to coach you and help you reach the pinnacle of awesomeness with your audiobook. And then, of course, once the coaching hat comes off and the editing hat comes on, then I'm there for you as your audio editor and producer to clean up your audio files and make sure they do meet the exact specifications. And my guarantee is that you're 100% guaranteed for publication on Audible, Amazon, and Apple Books, 100%, no rejections. And the other guarantee that I offer in my program is that I will continue to work with you, even if it takes longer than 6 weeks, because things happen. Life happens. I have clients who are very busy and who travel a lot and have speaking engagements and and they may have to not work on their audiobook for a week or so because they're traveling. Now I understand that, but I'm there for you every step of the way. So I will work with you as long as you're doing the work. I'll work with you until your book is published. It's that simple. All right. So again, I provide the equipment for you, so you don't have to rent a studio or find an engineer or do any of that. I provide you with a professional microphone and headsets, and we go over the program that you use to record your audiobook. And then I teach you, of course, the fine art of narration and how to be compelling, and really dive much deeper into what I shared with you today about being compelling and conversational and authentic, and really bringing out the best of who you are. Now remember, another narrator and they can be great, sound fantastic, but it's still their interpretation. It's not your interpretation. This is why I'm a big advocate, and I say every nonfiction author needs to narrate their own audiobook, because it's your story, period. Your personality, your story. And then again, I say this a lot too, and that's never, ever cut corners. Okay? Don't go the AI route. Don't go the virtual narrator, which is AI anyway. Call it whatever you want to call it. You're doing yourself a disservice, because that is not an authentic replication of you. You are you. You are unique. No one is like you. No AI is going to replicate you. You're going to emphasize words and phrases in a certain way that AI or another narrator is not going to be able to do. This is why you narrate your own audiobook. And believe in yourself. Believe in your voice. Love your voice. Embrace your voice, because you have what it takes to do a great audiobook narration. You really do. If you go to robertlanecoaching.com on my homepage, if you scroll down, there's a section there of past clients that I've worked with who've gone through the program, who I have clips, and you can hear them do their narration. You can hear how great they are. And that's how you're going to sound. You're going to be great. So believe in yourself. All right. And again, the program is 6 weeks. Your first action step is just to book a call with me. We're going to put that graphic up again. Book a call with me, and let's talk about your book, what your marketing goals are, and I'll tell you what the procedure to get enrolled into the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program. Book your call, all right? There's a link on my website, and there's a link right here. If you can see the screen, it's bit.ly/audiobook onboarding. Book that call, okay? So I can talk to you about your book, and we'll get you enrolled, and you can have your audiobook out there in your voice in 6 weeks, okay? And that is really it. Oh, one more quick thing I want to share is that I do have the Audiobook Narration Reference Guide. It's a free guide. Grab it. I got to get this in before we end our show. Again, bit.ly/narration reference guide. It's a free guide. Check it out. It's my gift to you. All right. And with that, my friends, go out there. Have a wonderful week. When you're out and about, say hello to a stranger, smile at them, give them a compliment, because you don't know what they're going through. And that small gesture of kindness could be the one thing that really makes their day. All right. You're listening to the Your Book, Your Voice podcast. We're here every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern Time. We're streaming live on the Bold Brave TV network. I'm Robert A. Lane, your host. RobertLaneCoaching.com is where you can find out more information about what I do as an audiobook coach and producer, and the Your Book, Your Voice audiobook coaching program. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week, my friends. Take care.
This has been Your Book, Your Voice with host Robert A. Lane. Tune in each week for another powerful and informative episode of Your Book, Your Voice, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.